afternoon. Thanks very much for joining. Today we've got a very exciting session talking about SIM cards, and it's a topic which everybody has to have a look at and has to have a think about. And I'm surprised there aren't more questions about it, but in general, what we are seeing is that people are just going for whatever Klook is recommending, which may or may not be the right option. Because there are different providers around, and we're going to have a review and a look at what the different options are. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were getting the best deal out there. And there's surprise, there's a bit of a promo going on for one of the providers. So stay tuned and we'll have a look at that a bit later on. So there's the SIM card, there is an eSIM, there is a Hotspot. We're talking about lock phones, we're talking about one-time pins. What do you do like if you're overseas and you need to generate a one-time pin from your from your local bank, for example? Looking at roaming, right, using your normal SIM card, whether that's a viable option. And then of course, I think something that a lot of people would be looking for is free Wi-Fi. Right? Are there certain places in Singapore with free Wi-Fi? And of course, and sadly, there are some people who still have to work or at least log in and have a stable connection and do a bit of work while they're on holidays. But actually, I think that's a really good thing because you're kind of doing a bit of both. But anyway, so let's get into it. Let me get the slides up. All right. So, let's have a look. What is the best SIM card to buy? This is an unsponsored review. Okay, I wish they would sponsor me, but I don't think they will. But anyway, that's good because we keep it unbiased. Okay, and this will be a genuine review. Okay, so let's have a look. Firstly, there's the SIM card or there's the eSIM. Okay, what is the difference? Okay, one is actually a physical card, right? So the SIM card is a physical card. It's the old traditional, what we used to have 5 years ago, where everybody who had a mobile phone would also have a SIM card. Okay, and you'd have to get that pin and poke it into the phone, and then the slot would come out and you put in a SIM card. So the normal way, which a lot of people have, and a lot of us have grown up to use, is we go on holidays, we take our phone, we poke that slot, okay, it comes out, we toss out our old SIM card, we put it somewhere safe because this was our old home network, okay, so we don't want to lose that SIM card, put it somewhere safe and put in a local SIM card. So in this case, it would be a Singapore SIM card. Slot it in, plug it in, and it should work, okay, you'll see the network start coming out, you'll see the signal bars and all that type of thing. Now you have what's called an eSIM, okay? So what is an eSIM? An eSIM it works the same way. It's actually a SIM card, but guess what? It's invisible, okay? It's an invisible SIM card, okay? So essentially the old days, your SIM card was actually to tell your phone that, hey, connect to this particular network. But now what you can do is you scan a barcode. So usually it'll come in like one of these QR codes. So you scan a QR code, for example, like this. Don't go and scan this one, but you go and scan it as an example. Your phone then recognizes, hey, oh, this is a SIM card, right? This is a phone that needs a SIM card on this particular network because this QR code goes to the network provider. Okay, it links you to the network provider. So that way, instead of having a physical SIM card, you've just scanned a code and you've got a virtual SIM. You've basically got a SIM card. It's the same without doing any poking and physical work, right? It functions the same way. Okay, now not every phone has an eSIM. Okay, it's the new way of kind of doing things. So we look at does my phone have an eSIM? Now, if you've got an Android phone, this is just an example and you'll have to go and Google it, right? But the question to ask is, does my Android phone have an eSIM? And there are a few steps. So if you go and Google around, you'll see this particular site, right? I've put the reference on the left, right? Error low. You can go and check. You click the settings button, you click connections, SIM manager, you add the eSIM, right? And then, so if you click connections, SIM manager, and you see there's a part saying add eSIM, it means you have the eSIM facility, right? So actually so when you come to Singapore, you don't need to pop out your old SIM card. You can leave it in there, right? But just go and enable this eSIM. Once it's enabled, you've got actually 2 SIM cards on your phone. The old network, which is your home country, as well as the new Singapore one, okay? So there are steps as to how to do this. There are too many phones, in the world to show you how to do each individual phone. But if you Google it, you'll be able to find the steps to do it on your phone. Now, if you do not have this eSIM section here, okay, then it means that you do not have an eSIM. Okay, so you just go, when you come to Singapore, you get a physical SIM card. Pop out the old one and put in the new one. Okay, that's how it works. Alright, now, the next one is for iPhones. Now, it's the same thing, but, like I said, different phone manufacturers will have different ways of doing these setting things, okay? So the phone manufacturer will say, okay, this iPhone, you've got to go and click your general, you go to about, then you go to model number, and then there are a whole different, and for Apple it's a bit more complicated, right? So you have to go and check the particular model number, and then they're making sure that it doesn't come from a Chinese region, and there's all these different steps and different filtering, okay, that you need to do. Number 5, it's basically complicated, okay? So if you've got an Apple device, go and look at the Apple support page and go and figure it out whether you have an eSIM or not, okay? It's not as straightforward, okay? So go and check it out if you have an Apple device. Okay, now, then we have situations like this, okay? So this one is where you bought the SIM card, okay? Or you bought the eSIM online. And then you come to Singapore, maybe you put in the SIM card, and guess what? It doesn't work, okay? And you're just thinking, did I get scammed? What's going on? What's wrong with this SIM card? Is it a problem with a network provider? Well, it may not be, okay? So what's actually happening is that when you bought your particular phone, right, your phone came as a package together with your mobile data plan, okay? So let's say I walked into Shop A, and Shop A was saying, oh, we've got cheap mobile phones, but you've got to buy the plan $20 a month from us. And so their particular way of doing things, they may say, okay, you buy the phone from us with the plan, and we lock your phone so that you can only use provider A's network, which is our network, right? So you're not allowed, after 2 years, to throw away provider A's SIM card and move to a competitor, provider B, and you can't take provider B's SIM card and slot it into your old phone, right? Because it's locked to a particular network, which is provider A's network. And this is what providers do to, in a way, force people to be loyal to their particular provider network, okay? So let's have a look at this. Okay, so that's basically it, right? You've got the situation where you're particularly locked into a network, okay, and you can't get out of it. So what do you do about this? Okay, oops. What do you do about this? You come to Singapore, you put in your SIM card that you purchased, it doesn't work. you need to go for a hotspot rental. Okay, so if you look at this picture, right, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before. It's a hotspot. Okay, so basically you buy a SIM card, okay, how it works is that you buy a SIM card, you put it inside this particular hotspot device, okay, and then from there you'll be able to connect multiple phones, right, into this particular device. Of course, one of the phones will be your locked device. Okay, so your locked mobile phone, because you can't put your actual, Singapore SIM card inside it. It won't work. So you get that SIM card, you put it in, something like this hotspot device, and then you create a Wi-Fi connection, right? Just like at home, you can create a Wi-Fi connection from your router, which is this hotspot device, all the way into your mobile device. So that's how you go about this particular step, okay? But you only need to use this hotspot rental if your phone is locked. If your phone is unlocked, right, as per the steps before, you can just buy a SIM card, buy an eSIM, okay? So that's how to go about it, all right? Okay, so now let's have a quick look at the networks, okay? These are all the major network providers. There are other providers around, but they do not own their network. So the other providers, if you say, hey, there's this other network provider in Singapore called 01. How come I'm not showing 01 here? It's because 01 uses the Singtel network. Okay, so they're a reseller of the Singtel network. So I haven't included the resellers. Okay, we call them MVNOs. I haven't included any of those. I've just provided here the 4 big network people who own their own network. Okay, so let's have a look at these, and we'll go through one by one. Now, important thing is that when you're buying a SIM card, you need to make sure there is coverage. Okay, now you'll see from here there's a lot of purple, there's even more red. Okay, now the red is actually 4G network coverage, and the purple is 5G network coverage. Okay, and this was a snapshot that was taken from a site that does network coverage overview, and they do a check. Okay, so this is the stuff that you need to take note of if you are probably in other countries. However, in Singapore, you'll see that, around the general hotspot, the areas that you will be at, okay, you'll be around Sentosa, which is here, around Marina Bay, which is a bit above. You will have Mandai, right, which is the zoo area, Night Safari, River Wonders, and Bird Paradise, that's around there. So all of them, and Changi Airport, of course, right? So all of the major areas that tourists typically go to, right? If you look at all 4 of these maps, there is sufficient coverage, okay? So I'm not particularly concerned about that, all right? So assuming that every network provider has about the same levels of coverage, okay? Now, we then zoom into each individual SIM offering for tourists, okay? And I've picked one of the lowest rates for each of them and chosen something a bit more comparable. Now, knowing that most tourists come to Singapore for less than a week, I don't think it's necessary to get something with mega high bandwidth, okay? And like gigs and gigs of data. I don't think that's really necessary, right? So I've just picked something moderate, okay? I think that will suit most people, okay? So this will be, we're looking at the first one, it will be a StarHub SIM card, okay? It's the SIM card, it's not the eSIM. The StarHub SIM card has 100 gigs of data. It's valid for 10 days, and you can take it roaming, okay? So if you go to another country, 17 different countries, you can actually use it up to 1 gig, okay? And then where can you buy it? You can buy it at the StarHub, right, shop, which is at all terminals in Changi Airport, okay? So the buy at is the Changi Airport area. So it'd be StarHub kiosks or desks, and also the UOB money changer, right? And there's plenty of those around, okay? So that's the StarHub $12 tourist travel SIM card, okay? Then you have StarHub's eSIM option. Okay, so the eSIM option is 100 gigs, same data. It runs for 14 days. Okay, so you get a bit more. But if you're only here for 4 days, it doesn't matter. It's the same, right? And then the roaming data is 3 gigs, so it covers 20 destinations, and you buy this using the StarHub app. Okay, so I've given you screenshots. If you wanted to go for the StarHub eSIM card, right? You go into Google Play. So I haven't done the Apple one, just for Android. I've done Google Play. You install the StarHub app. You will then get these particular options, okay? And then you choose this $12 and tourist eSIM, okay? So that's another option. Now, moving to the next provider, you have Simba, okay? Simba is a relatively new network. It's a new player in Singapore. They have kind of come up with a very shaky start at the beginning. But they seem to have stabilized, and personally, for me, I'm using a Simba card, right? But my deal is it's actually this deal, okay? It's a 100 gig SIM only plan, okay? And I can use it for the whole month, okay? But like I said, if you only hit 4 days, a week, it doesn't matter whether it's 30 days, 10 days, 14 days. It doesn't matter. So. But for me, as a local, I'm around all the time, so I just take this. It's a $10 plan, 100 gigs, fairly okay network, right, considering that it's a new player. It's got roaming data of about 1 gig at 59 destinations, okay? And then, but the problem here, okay, is that you cannot pick it up at Changi Airport, okay? You cannot pick it up at Changi Airport. So they do not have outlets there. They do not have any kiosks that are handing out their SIM cards. So to get one of these SIM cards, you've got to go into the local areas, okay? So back into the suburbs, because it's primarily a SIM card for locals, right? Which then rolls into the next part, why there is no eSIM, because the eSIM is, again, only for locals, okay? They do not issue eSIMs to non-residents, okay? So that one's out for you guys, right? You definitely can't take the eSIM. If you do want to get this, then you've got to go and get it from another place, which is in the suburbs, which is not Changi Airport. So it's a bit inconvenient. I would say it's probably not going to be good for you guys, right? It's just too inconvenient to do this, even though it's a bit cheaper. Okay, all right. So moving on to the next one, you've got the $12 tourist SIM, okay, from M1. Now, M1 is also another legacy player. It's been around for a long time. I've used M1 before, and it's a bit flaky, I would say. I think there are sometimes a few congestion issues. So a lot of users, maybe not enough bandwidth. So sometimes it does get a bit slow, even though the coverage is there. The connectivity is a bit slow, pulling up pages and stuff like that. But they have a SIM card and an eSIM option. Okay, the offer is $12. It gives you 100 gig as well. It goes for 15 days. But this one has no roaming data. Okay, no roaming data. So what it means is that you can use the particular SIM card in Singapore, but if you go to Malaysia, it will not work. If you go to Indonesia and to Batam, it will not work. Okay? If you still want to go for this SIM card, you can get it, and it says you can get it at selected 7-Eleven and Cheers outlets, which are convenience stores, right? But it is unclear whether this includes Changi Airport. Now, Changi Airport has Cheers. It has, I'm not sure about 7-Eleven, but it has Cheers. But it didn't specifically say you can pick it up from Changi Airport. So I'm not too sure if you can or if you can't, right? It just said selected outlets. So I don't know, not so clear to me. Then you've got the eSIM option, right? If you want to go for that, you can pick it up at all terminals, right? At the meet and greet stand, as well as Changi Recommends at T1, T2, and then foreign exchange counters at Terminal 1. Okay, so that's the M1 offer. And then you've got the Singtel eSIM option. And the Singtel eSIM option also gives you 100 gig for 14 days. It's got 3 gigs of roaming data, okay, but it's only to 4 destinations. And the way that you work this eSIM is you go online, you buy it, then you install the Singtel Hi app, okay, and then I've given you a link, you know, how to go and buy it online. And then when you get to Singapore, then you enable the eSIM, okay? Do not try and register the eSIM when you are overseas, okay? Go and register it in Singapore, because then it can connect to the local networks. It goes the same, it's the same for M1, and it's the same for StarHub, okay? Only do it when you're in Singapore, okay? If you try and do it back in your home country and then you complain it doesn't work, well, it won't work. It's not expected to work. You can only get it working in Singapore. Alright, so when you land, go and connect up. Alright, that's the eSIM option. And then this is, I think, the best option out there at the moment, okay? So it's a tourist SIM card. So again, the physical SIM card, okay? This physical SIM card, it has 100 gigs, it goes for 14 days, so the offer is pretty much the same across all providers. You then have roaming data of 3 gig, again 4 destinations, which is fine. And then you've got the option to buy that online, right? And then collect it in Singapore at the UOB Money Changer, which is at all terminals, okay? Or the Travelex Money Changer, which is Terminal 2 and 3, okay? Now, they also have in this particular package unlimited data on Facebook, WhatsApp, Line, and WeChat, which I think a lot of us use, right? So this will be a really good option for those people who are Facebook heavy, want to do your Facebook lives and show everyone that you're in Singapore. That's a good option. If you're on WhatsApp a lot or any chats, it's also a good option as well. Yeah, and your 3 gig data roaming includes Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. Okay, Australia as well. But I think most people that I've seen, you know, travel to Malaysia and Indonesia during their stay here as well, right? So, and the best thing about this one is there is a promo at the moment. Okay, it's a promotion. It's through a website called Pago. So if you go to the official Singtel website, okay, and you click you want to buy this particular SIM, right? What you've got to do is you click through to the link, and then it'll go through to the promo page, okay, and you'll see this, which is Pago, okay, here, and Pago will have these offers. You click through. Pago is owned by Singapore Airlines, FYI. So they're doing all the ticket sales, they're doing SIM card sales, they're all kind of doing all these tourist services. Okay, so that's Pago. And then you go through and you click through and you'll see there are very good options. Okay, this one is 2 $12 SIM cards, so it's $24 worth of SIM, but you're only paying $16.80. Okay, so it's a very good deal. And if you only need 1 SIM card, it still works out, you know, $8.80 compared with paying $12. Okay, so this is the SIM option, okay, for Singtel. So what I did is I also had a comparison here. Okay, so all the data that I've taken from the previous pages is all combined into one here, and you'll see that if you're looking at roaming, okay, they each have different roaming offers. Right, so Singtel comes up with a 3 gig, which is among the top. Then the question is, does it roam in Malaysia and Indonesia? Yes. I think all of them do, right, with the roaming data. Local data, everyone's on the same field. Everyone's offering 100 gig. Validity, you know, everyone's offering between 10 and 30 days, right? Most common about 10 to 14, 15, okay? But the difference is the cost, okay? So Singtel's special promo at the moment gives it to you at $8.40, okay, if you're buying 2 for $12, or if you're buying, if you're buying 1 SIM card, it's down here, it's $8.80. It's still cheaper, right? Still cheaper than getting a $12 card. Okay, so this is by far the best option. I'm not sure how long this runs for, okay, but I plan to review the SIM cards every quarter or so, just to give you guys the latest information and make it easy for you, and all the info is all in one place. Okay, so that's it. Now there's one other last slide which I think is quite important. Okay, it's regarding OTPs. So a lot of people, and myself included, when I'm overseas, sometimes I need to access important things like my banking applications, okay? And sometimes you would generate a one-time PIN, or maybe your Gmail or whatever. Click the one-time PIN and you're supposed to receive an SMS. But the thing is, if your SIM card is not enabled for overseas roaming, you will never get the SMS. Okay, and it can cause real big problems when you're trying to get your banking working, if you're trying to enable some special features and all that, or if your credit card doesn't work or your debit card doesn't work and you need to enable the one-time PIN. If your one-time PIN feature or your home SIM card is not enabled for overseas use, it's not going to work. You are never going to get this one-time PIN. So a big flashing light reminder: before you leave your home country, make sure you enable or talk to your provider and get them to enable the one-time or enable the SMS feature. Okay, so that you can receive SMSs when you are overseas. That's very, very important. Now, the second thing is, sometimes there are offers from your local provider and they say, oh, you can use your normal home SIM card. Okay, you can use that overseas because we have a special package for roaming. It'll only cost you, X number of dollars to roam overseas. And you think, yeah, I mean, why do I need to use a Singtel SIM card when I'm in Singapore, when I can just use my home country one because it's a special promo and all that stuff? You can do that, okay? But I will tell you that your phone, the battery on your phone will start to drain really, really fast, because the way the roaming works is it always tries to look for available networks and different network providers. So in the background, your phone's going to be doing overtime and you are going to have a lot of battery drain really, really fast. Okay, so if you're not sure about this, you can go and Google it and go and check. But yeah, it does happen. Okay, so if you're thinking of doing that, have second thoughts or bring a power bank or something like that. Okay, make sure you're prepared. Okay, then we move to free Wi-Fi. Okay, free Wi-Fi if you are sitting at Starbucks, coffee shops, if you go to general shopping centers, right, or McDonald's, they all have free Wi-Fi there. Okay, there might be other spots as well, but these are generally the places to go to if you want to get free Wi-Fi. Sit down, have a coffee, have a break, and just turn on the connect to the local Wi-Fi. Okay, and then lastly, right, if you happen to be one of these people who are taking kind of a working / holiday, okay, bring your work laptop. You can go and sit at Starbucks, right? If you want to go and do some work, go and sit at some coffee shops, sit in your hotel room if you want. McDonald's, right? These general places, they allow you to sit there, just buy a drink or something, and people can sit there like 2-3 hours. Okay, so you can buy a Starbucks, sit there for 3 hours with your laptop open and all that, and do some work. There are some places that partially allow it, so they'll say during peak hours, and they'll give you the times. They say between this time and this time, you're not allowed to use your laptop and work here. Okay, but during off-peak hours, generally, they're kind of relaxed about it. Airport restaurants are another place, right? So again, the same concept of during off-peak hours, I think they're generally okay with it. So let's say you're going for a late lunch, like 1:30 or so, you go have your lunch, and the restaurant is starting to clear out and there are fewer and fewer people coming in. Then after you finish lunch, say it's about 2:15, you don't see anyone, kind of, it looks a bit quiet, then you just open your laptop and then just do your work there and leave your drink there, right? So So that way they don't kind of clear out the table and ask you to leave. You leave your drink there and you just do a bit of work, and you can be there for like an hour or something like that. Okay, if you need some quiet place, right, to do some work, you go to the National Library. Okay, in the National Library there is no free Wi-Fi. Okay, I have heard some people talking about using SG Wireless. Okay, or Wireless SG, right, which is an initiative by the local government to try and get Singapore connected in across a common platform for free Wi-Fi. Okay, but you have to download the app and then do some registering and set that particular thing up. Okay, and I've used it sometimes. It's also available in the MRT stations, but it's not so stable, and sometimes it connects but it's really slow, so it's not very reliable. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The other place to go if you want to do some work is university or polytechnics. So you can go into the university grounds. They won't check your ID and they won't say, oh, you've got a few too many grey hairs, you shouldn't be at university. They won't say that. So you just walk in, sit down, one of the tables, and then just do your work there. No one will bother you. Same thing with the polytechnics, right? Singapore has a number of polytechnic grounds. Again, they're not really in the city area. You kind of have to go into the suburbs, but you go and Google it, you see what's the nearest polytechnic near to you. Again, they don't check your ID. Just walk in, see there's a table, a bench or something, and just sit there and start working. You can't actually access the libraries in these particular educational institutions, but in the public area, right, you can sit down and just do some work there, and you'll see a lot of other kids studying there, so you won't be alone. The other place, if you're in the CBD, if you want a nice environment, it's outdoor, you can go to Asia Square, right? There's a nice sitting area outdoors. It's not air conditioned, but there is some sheltered area, so you can go over there. And then of course you can also go to the kopitiam and food courts, right? So places in shopping centers where they have food courts there. Don't hog the table during lunch times, okay, or dinner times. But, afternoons, like I said, it's the same with the restaurants. 2 p.m., the tables are going to be like 25% full. Just pick a table and just sit there with a drink, open your laptop, and you can do your work there for a few hours. No one will bother you at all. Okay? So that brings me to the end. It's a short one today. Yay! Getting there. So if you have any questions about this particular topic or any other topic, you can always reach out to me. You can send me a private message or put it on the chat. You can put it at the bottom of this video. I did see an interesting question earlier this week where somebody was asking about they were visiting Singapore, and they said, Singapore's such a lovely place, and they were thinking of coming to Singapore for work, right? Which I think would be a very interesting topic. Not really on the touristy side, but maybe for people who have been here, or maybe it's a topic where you just want to know for future reference, or maybe you're just curious what it's like to work in Singapore. There are a number of perspectives, so I am kind of looking, and if there are any locals here who are watching this video and maybe you'd like to share your perspective, right, reach out to me. I've got a couple of friends who might be able to share their perspective as well, and it really depends who you talk to, right? You'll get different answers, so so I think I had to do a bit of talking to various people and just see who to interview, or maybe we have a sitting around a table and just talk about what it's actually like to work in Singapore, because different people have different perspectives, and not every job is a nice job in Singapore. So anyway, we'll just leave it at that. If you are interested in that particular topic, let me know. and then if there's enough interest, we'll gather some people and then see if we can have some type of discussion. Okay, so that's it for this week. Have a great week, and if you're in Singapore, I do understand that there are some special sound and light show things around the Spectra area, so go and check out that particular page, the Spectra page. I'll post it up as well so that people are aware. Okay, thanks very much for joining, and take care. See you guys. Bye.